Good evening. We are back. Welcome to the new season. Same issues. Welcome to the 23-24 season. We are back. Hope we are all good. And I thought we'd kick it off properly with a good old fashioned debate. And we brought a really good panel, which will get bigger. The debate is hopefully going to join us soon as well. But Ozzy, thank you for joining us, mate. How are you? Good break.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Martin. Hope you had a good time in Turkey.
45 degrees, and I've got a tan. Happy bunny. A little bit too hot, though. 45 degrees is a bit too much. Can't complain. Lovely country, lovely people. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it more than I actually thought I was going to. I've never been. Evening, Pat. How are you? Welcome home from your 80 days around the world.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. A little bit shorter than 80 days, but a fantastic experience all around. You can tell the clubs are really fond of pre-seasons over in the Far East now. Just obviously distance is an issue, but mate, the way this club's fan base has expanded over here in Asia is absolutely tremendous. It's fantastic, which we might get onto it at some point during the show today. But yeah, had a great couple of weeks out there in South Korea and Japan, and made a lot of friends, and excited to share all the stories with everybody. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, and by the way, big thank you to Pat for doing those. Literally in humidity that was killing him, and me and Pat was sending him. I stuck him out. It was amazing, and it was good to have loads of things. We're going to do the same on Sunday for the Community Shield. I'll go more into that tomorrow. Good evening, Rich. How are you? Welcome back.
Not too bad.
Did you enjoy your welcoming home party? Because you've been home.
Yeah, no, it was. I had a very good summer. Although the weather's sunnier and hotter here in the winter than it is in Britain in the summer. That's all I'll say.
Well, I came off a plane to rain and wind. I'm like, this is August. What's going on? Anyway, you look refreshed, Rich. 10 years younger.
Yeah, exactly.
And Carl, how are you, mate? How's Washington doing you? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Last week, it was about 39, 40 degrees with 80% humidity. This week, because of the fires in Canada, it's about 28 degrees centigrade with 30% humidity. It's fresh, it's crisp, but it's hazy. So, yeah. Interesting days.
Good. Yeah. Weird at the minute because there's a lot of fires everywhere. We had totally off topic this. We had a day planned to go to Rhodes. Where I wasn't taking, go to Rhodes for the day. On a boat, but obviously we couldn't go because obviously the fires that were over there. But thankfully most were safe, and I hope everyone's safe over in Canada.
The smoke is blocking out the sun here.
Yeah.
So it's
a mad one. Climate change is upon us, ladies and gents. Oh yeah. Good evening. I'm just flashing through because there's so many of you in the chat again. We miss you all. Thank you as well. You are absolutely amazing. Like I said, Tom, I've literally been off. I was on a plane an hour and a half ago, mate. Come on. I've come off plane and gone straight into a show. The only thing I can do next is do a live from the plane. Can't go any more than that. Who's going airport tomorrow? God, no, I've had enough of airports. Right, we'll kick off with the breaking news today. Manchester City have finally, and this is not a drill. This is not a Fabrizio's got this jump too early. It is now official. Manchester City have agreed a fee for RB Leipzig. Left-sided defender, JOSKO Gvardiol. And it's actually a lot cheaper, but GQ's had a lot of shit over the past few weeks. I've pulled off another masterclass because what Manchester City have actually done is got this guy for under the record defender price for a defender that is still held very proudly, I imagine, by them down the road for Harry Maguire. So hey, there you go. We've got JOSKO Gvardiol cheaper than they bought Harry Maguire for. And people have a damn nerve to have a go at our board. Yeah, I get amazed sometimes. Borges has left. He's now gone to Ajax. We wish him all the best. 14 million quid plus add-ons. There's a buyback or there's a sell-on bonus. We're about to get a nice big chunk from Lavia's deal, wherever he goes. 20 million quid virtually for James Trafford. I'm missing someone else. Shea Charles for 10 up to 14 million quid. So basically, we've sold 3 EDS players who never ever stepped foot on the Etihad pitch, and they paid for 70% of JOSKO Gvardiol's deal. Again, you have a go at our board. Go on, Oz. Are you happy? Got him. He's in the door.
Ozzy.
This is not a drill on this one.
It felt like it was taking an age, though, wasn't it? I think a lot of people were starting to get a bit nervous and thinking this wasn't going to happen.
I remember doing the show 3 weeks ago on this. It's not.
Such a meltdown, that show, wasn't it, really, with the whole, it was done and not done. And it feels like it's been an age. It feels like it's been one of those transfer sagas that, you normally have with Harry Kane or Mbappe or Neymar. It's, been for a defender. It's just been madness, but I'm really glad it's got through. He's finally through the door. Obviously, we'll just need to see him in the shirt and the contract signature, as we all like to see. But no, it's brilliant news. I'm really happy that he's finally through the door. But again, I mean, you have to look at this and you gotta go, yeah. Again, for City to get this under, because I mean, I keep seeing reports still saying world record fee, and it's like. No, it's not. It's what I think it's 77 million. Yeah, that's the actual price.
It's a world record fee for a Croatian.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm getting it wrong, Rich?
For a centre back from Germany, I mean, it's
You can just tell they've had all the headlines already written, haven't you? World record fee, and they thought we've got to go with it somehow. And it's not even a world record. I ain't doing myself a favour.
Yeah,
it's 2 million quid more than Van Dijk went to Liverpool. So, it was more about. It was more about. No, I know, but it was more about Van Dijk when it was more about this is going to save Liverpool rather than it's a world record fee. So,
yeah. The reality is, you factor in inflation between Van Dijk's deal and Gvardiol's deal. Van Dijk actually costs more in today's money.
Would you say though? I was just going to say, would you say that with Van Dijk, though, obviously he was coming into Liverpool as more of a proven player than probably Gvardiol is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know he did really well at the World Cup. Apart from his kind of against Messi.
This kid is good. This kid is good.
No, he's good, but is the price tag a little bit too much?
21. He's 21 years old.
Left-footed defenders are a premium these days.
He can not only that too. He can also play multiple positions. He can play as a second six. He can play as a left back. He can play as a traditional centre back. He can play. He's the way he carries the ball into space, the way he dribbles, his duels, his pace. He's somebody called him the Haaland of defenders. He's good. Your kid is good.
Champions League proven.
Yeah.
If you look at Van Dijk, very, very, very good player for me at Southampton. And this is going to sound so disrespectful. I don't mean it in the way it's going to sound. But it was Southampton. And I don't mean that in a real bad... I've got a lot of respect for Southampton. They're a great football club. I'm just saying it was at Southampton. This guy's coming from a Champions League top 3 Bundesliga club. And I just think... I mean, yes, some people will look at the City 7-0 game, but that's Haaland.
That could have been 12, mate.
I'm not being funny. That's Haaland. Haaland can do that to any defender on any day at any given time.
You know, Martin, I went back to watch that game again, the 7-0. Yes, it was a mistake for one of the goals, but he saved like 5 goals from Haaland in the box. Literally, he was the last person defending Haaland on the box. He's just a good player. He gives us what Nathan Ake can do, but he also does what Laporte can do. It's just, he's class. You know, the weird thing about this, guys, is people complain about all the time. I reckon Nathan Ake signing his deal is probably one of the factors why this thing was delayed, maybe, right? That respect of, okay, let's get Nathan Ake over the line, get him signed up. There's no debate, there's no issue. And then we can go for Gvardiol, because if not, this argument between is Ake going to go, is going to stay? It could be. I'm just thinking. Right, I thought about it today.
Breaking news, Alan's back. Until he's signed, it's not done. Going to break his leg coming off the plane, Alan.
Fail his medical.
No, I'm not going through that saga. Listen, personal terms are actually already agreed. Trust me now, personal terms were probably agreed about
3 weeks ago.
4 months ago. No, I'd say 4 months
ago,
ago, actually. I think the guy's been sat there with his suitcase going, can I just go? Can I just go, please? He's like, yeah. I think it's once you get the fee done, that's it.
Yeah. And they withdrew him today. They withdrew him today from the game he was supposed to play, Leipzig.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yeah, did they have 2 games? Did I read?
Yeah, I saw that. It was weird.
2 games or something.
It's probably under 21s. Who knows?
Yeah, 17 million with add-ons. I think it's 14 initially, Pardo, and then goes to 14. Rich, what are you thinking then? JOSKO Gvardiol.
I think it's a very good signing. It'll mean the end of one of my favourites at City and Laporte, and I think there's 100 idiot coaches in Europe who haven't jumped on signing him, because I think he has been, over the last 5 years, probably the best left-sided centre back in world football in terms of, especially in terms of his passing and his ability. But that ship's out. I think Gvardiol's got amazing potential, and I think he's a perfect Pep player in terms of being adaptable, multi-positions, and we can now play a defence with we can maybe go with Diaz, Lewis, Stones, and Gvardiol, and all 3 of them can go into midfield, just leaving Diaz on his own, and we can have 3 inverted midfielders playing.
I don't
you joke, Rich. You joke, and
I think it's quite clear. It's quite clear Pep's going to be moving multiple players into midfield, and so the other team's not going to know whether it's Lewis or Gvardiol or Stones who's going to step in, and so who knows? It's certainly fascinating. I mean, the thing that really stands out for me of Gvardiol is his ability to dribble, which is for a centre back is just unknown, but he's quite happy to go and take the ball past a few players. So yeah, it'll be exciting, and I think above anything, after a treble, you need to shake things up a bit. So we need a few of the young players. We needed a few new signings, a few really hungry people in the team, just to make sure that there's. I mean, we haven't seen it from us, but the biggest danger is complacency and players thinking they've done it 3 times, whatever, and getting complacent. And I think just 2 or 3 going and 2 or 3 coming in, a few kids who haven't won anything coming in, and we can make sure, and a new assistant, we can make sure we just don't have.
Not really a new one, is he?
Well, he's
not
new
really
for
new,
season.
Rich.
He hasn't won a treble.
So he pissed off. We won the treble. He's coming back then. That means
because he needs a treble. He needs a quadruple. So
don't start, Rich. Don't start with your quads and everything else. Jesus, you're sounding like the. I want a quad.
It'll be the Community Shield, the Club World Cup, the Super Cup, and the Carabao Cup, and we'll call it a treble.
I can't.
The ultimate shithouse quad.
a quad without winning any of the 3 major trophies.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. I'm sorry, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, a few people talk about Calvin Phillips. We'll get into all that tomorrow night. I need to think about my words on Calvin Phillips. I really do, because all I'll say is I want the lad to do. I really do. I watched his documentary. I fell in love with him on Amazon Prime. I want him to do well, but I'm struggling with what I saw the last 2 or 3 games. So I need to really properly think about it. Look, assess, look at the squads, look at positioning. My initial thought is the lad is going to majorly struggle. And that's all I'm going to say for now. I don't really want to say a lot on it because I feel I'm going in him and I don't like it because I do want to give players chances. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the conditions. Maybe I'm making excuses now. I don't know. I'm struggling with it. I am. Anyway, that's for tomorrow night. Tonight, there will be a separate JOSKO Gvardiol deal. Won't be a live one. Going to be about a 10:15 one. That'll be out in the morning. We'll go into details on that. Tomorrow night, don't forget, we are going to start our predictions for the season and our Community Shield countdown. There will be shorts and all sorts live from Wembley on Sunday. I might even do a travel vlog. I keep saying I'm going to do one of these, but I might actually do it. Yeah. And also, you're going to see all these people in brand new shirts very soon. Because they've all got a brand new shirt.
For you, my friend, I have a nice special price.
No, you haven't got one. Well, to order you separately. You got the same problem I've got.
Right.
Anyway.
Speaking of shirts, Martin, when is the away kit coming out?
I heard it was next week. The reason the third one went out was because they had to play in it over there, so they had to release that backwards. They were going to play it against Bayern Munich, so they had to release that one first.
That away kit
before the away one.
It looks magnificent, man.
I love the third one. The third one I just love.
Yeah.
But yeah, sadly, I've got to go and pay full back. Anyway, the reason we're doing this tonight, now it is going to be debate, might get a little bit heated, but we're all going to remain respectful. It's all opinions on this. The reason this come up, it was mentioned on TalkSport. It was mentioned by a guy in New Jersey. Carl, you might be able to tell me the guy's name. There was a guy in Jersey mentioned it about Premier League games going over to America at some point. Now, I did a Twitter space 2 weeks ago. No, I didn't. Was that Twitter space? I was on Veta's channel 2 weeks ago. You remember, Carl? You were on it. We were talking about the Saudi League. And Veta asked me what my opinion of the Saudi League was. And they ummed and ahed for about 5 minutes. And I think you were the same, wasn't you, Carl? We sort of ummed and ahed on things. I had no problem with it. I said on one proviso, I had no problem with 32, 33-year-olds going over, getting a nice final payday, playing some decent football. My issue was at the time, I said, the problem we have is when top players start going over there, or players in their prime start stepping over there. That's when it becomes a problem all round. Because at the moment, the league is not, as I believe, and I've read up on it, is not fully regulated by FIFA. So they don't have financial fair play. They don't have any of that. They can just go willy-nilly. And PIF, who own the 4 major football clubs over there, is it Al Nassr, Al Hilal?
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Al Ali.
Al Ali. They own a few of them, where the big boys have gone. And so I was like, And then you started hearing about how's the Premier League going to compete. So obviously it's got this money. So then it was, this guy in New Jersey was, we want to get Premier League. And it came at the same time as you just noticed the Premier League have just come off doing this big, huge tournament of the Premier League over there, which I don't agree with anyway. And that's nothing against that. I think Premier League playing against Premier League in pre-season is the most stupidest idea I've ever heard of.
Good games.
Just ask Arsenal fans, because Martinez tried to snap half their plays in half. And they're like, we're playing in like 3 weeks. What you snapping me for? That's the problem. You're playing them in 3 or 4 weeks, so you're going to snap them to gain the advantage.
It was like Newcastle and Villa that play first game of the season. They played last week. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's stupid. I don't know why, it's a great spectacle, but do that tournament with teams abroad. Don't do it with teams you play in the same league as. That's just mental. But anyway, that's a different argument. So me and Carl then got a chatting, and it got a bit heated. Obviously, I'm the local dinosaur, and Carl's the fan abroad who comes over here, and and I think what a lot of it is obviously you lads, Rich, Pat, you're in Australia. Pat, you're in Australia. Me and Ozzy are home birds. And there's one you got to look at in football. Each country is very different. They've all got different economical structures to their work, their jobs, their income, everything. It's a very different way of life in each different country. For a simple example of lots of jobs in the US, don't know if it's the same in Australia. When you go for a job interview, you can sit down and negotiate your wage. Me and Ozzy go in, sit down, do a job. Can we negotiate our wage? They just kind of look at you like you got 3 heads and go, no. I told you what your wage was in the job advertisement. Sorry, there ain't no other. We're not You can negotiate later on. You can't when you go in for your job. They tell you the wage. It's a very different way of living, way of life, everything. I've just noticed that being in Turkey compared to the UK. That is like mad apart. I gave someone 1,000 lira. They thought I was going to be the new best friend. I'm like, what? 1,000 lira. They don't even get that in a month in parts of their country. Not even in a month. And it's about what? 50 quid, if that. It's a different, and I think it's just different, but it got into the thing of, would it be an idea of taking Premier League games abroad to try and combat this Saudi Arabian league? And then another debate started between local fans and fans abroad. And I'm going on, I know I'm saying a lot. And then recently, I've seen with other football clubs, Newcastle United have come up with one. Newcastle United have now come up with a lovely scheme where they pay £37 for the membership. Doesn't get them a ticket, by the way. All that does at Newcastle is put them in a ballot where they then have to pay for their ticket. So they pay 37 quid for basically to go in a ballot, and they may never ever win the ballot to get a ticket. And they're going absolute apeshit up there. They're going balmy about it up there. So this is where we said, is football changed to a point where fans don't matter anymore? Is fans becoming the less and less figure here? And we kick, scream, and ball, but we know where this is going to end up. And by the way, whoever wants to kick off.
Well, I think, Martin, I think there's 2 sides here. There's our own personal views and what we love about the club, what we love about things, and then there's the reality of international sport, business, etc. And then there comes different ways of these things happening. One example I think of is there are 2 sports, one in Australia, one in the US, where matches are regularly moved, and that's the US football, where games are played now in Mexico, London, Germany, I think, have been in the last 2 years. And in the rugby league in Australia, clubs, particularly the smaller or the poorer, I'd say the poorer clubs actually, rather than the smaller clubs, can sell their games to other grounds or other states or away teams. So, one example is, probably the biggest, richest team in the NRL is the Brisbane Broncos. A number of teams sell their home games against Brisbane to Brisbane. So they'll play them twice away, but they get a substantial amount of money towards their salary caps. The US teams, particularly, I think Jacksonville, look like they actually want to be London based, in that they're trying to, play multiple games. So you have this kind of thing happening in sport to, in some ways, be used often by the smaller clubs or the less rich clubs to boost themselves. But then you do inherently start to hit competition, because the basis of most leagues, it isn't in NRL, because you don't play everyone twice, you play half the teams twice, but the basis of competition should be home and away against every team, so that every team has a fair crack at the league. And as soon as you introduce something like playing somewhere else, you do compromise the very basis of competition. What happens if teams sell off 5 of their home games against Manchester United, and Manchester United have to go and play in, I'm saying this could be City, it could be Liverpool, but as the team historically with the most dispersed fans in the world, if they have to go and play games in Kazakhstan, Singapore, Uruguay and the US, then their chance of winning the league would not be as good as a team who got to play 38 games in Britain. So I think there's huge challenges to keeping it fair, because the most important thing is the integrity of even before fans, that the integrity of the competition is there, that the competition is fair, and that everyone has that equal chance, theoretically, of winning the league. And I don't see how to get around to some of those really basic things before you start even worrying about the fans and other things.
Yeah. Anyone agree with that? Disagree with that?
I think Rich makes a fair point about the uniqueness of, for example, the Premier League in England, right? It's English Premier League. My struggle is, I think about the future and the money that right now is available to capture. That is the big issue. There's so much money available. I talked about the fact that I took my little boy who loves football. He loves football. I mean, the guy sleeps with his ball in his bed. To the MLS game, the Arsenal game, they charged me $250 a head. I paid $500 to watch Arsenal versus the MLS. Shit game. I had to leave at 70 minutes. 500, the two of us. Okay. Sold out. They sold out so many tickets that the sponsor, Target, gave everybody in the stadium a $15 gift card. 40,000 people.
What game was that? Villa and
MLS versus Arsenal.
All right. Yeah.
Right. Last weekend, I went to the Villa versus what was it, Brentford game, and the Chelsea versus Fulham game. Right. It cost a lot. The issue is the money, it's the revenue. If you can fill out a stadium, people paying $200, $300 a pop for, seats in the gods, and court, the court side, and your pitch side is what, $400, $500, and you sell them out. It's the revenue issue. And the more we have these wages that are coming through, and you have Saudi throwing wages around to attracting players, how do you manage that? Now, I'm not saying take the whole league to the US, but in the future, in 5-10 years' time, they may have a situation where they have a game in a season played outside of the grounds in England. It's a possibility, unless they arrest this revenue issue, which is an issue. Which is why, Martin, think about what happened 2 years ago by the Super League. It's all about the money. It's all about the revenue. That's my only view on it. I love to come to the Etihad and visit there. It's almost like a pilgrimage. Coming to the Etihad to watch a game. It's the experience. It's flying over there, spending time there. I should be there for Newcastle again. Hopefully, I have lunch or coffee with you. It's a whole experience of that. I love it. But
do you think in some ways City have addressed that challenge by owning New York.
They
And
have.
City's way of dealing with revenue around world football
Yeah.
is creating a global football network to capitalise.
They have somewhat, but look what happened in Asia. You in Asia, who was my friend? He was in Asia last week. I mean, the crowds in Korea was insane. I saw it on TV. You know, it's.
I'm with that, but do you know what? And this, and listen, big up to everyone in South Korea. It looked amazing. But did anyone else get a bit pissed off after about 10 minutes with the crowd? Or was I the only one?
I was pissed, mate.
You know what I mean?
Man, I was pissed off after about 5 minutes.
They were getting excited on a throw-in.
It was like a pantomime drama.
Yeah, it's what I mean.
You know, they started applauding. They started applauding when some player made it, like when an Atletico player made a dodgy tackle. It was so bizarre.
This is,
some of them were celebrating.
Any sort of switch, like from left to right, right to left, and that was just this. It was like a pantomime drama. I'm surprised. Like when you know the players were yelling at man on, there wasn't like a whole bunch of South Korean fans singing, "He's behind you."
Yeah.
What was
it was a bizarre, surreal feeling.
Yeah.
I can barely watch
there are different
pre-season.
levels. Sorry, Rich, go ahead.
I was going to say I can barely watch pre-season. It's you know a bit of a joke. It's like wrestling. It's like WWE. I never got into that either.
Whoa, that's like WWE off.
Yeah, City's like WWE.
SummerSlam at weekend. Come on.
To be fair, I left the Chelsea game at halftime anyway because I was bored. But
I want Ozzy because I want Ozzy's not spoil it. But I've just got one point. I want to ask Carl one quick question. If you don't mind, Ozzy. You just said that about the Arsenal M&S. It was sold out. I noticed you were was you at the Villa Brentford game?
Yes.
It was half empty.
Yes.
Is that because this is
you know what?
Issue?
You know why?
City, United, Chelsea.
No, because
Arsenal get the fans.
No, because the Villa Brentford game is the third game in 2 weeks where the fans have seen their teams in other cities around the US. That was the third one. So the novelty of going to watch them once is kind of worn off. And they're all in the same geography. I mean, it's in Philadelphia, it's in New Jersey. So it's like 3 hours drive, which is a small drive. So the novelty of seeing them is probably worn off.
Did you not feel weird, though, because that game finished 3-3. And you know when they play in the Premier League, that ain't finishing 3-3. Because nobody's going to do what they did in that game, really.
Yeah, but it's the experience, right? It's the
no, I get that. Yeah. I'm just thinking of the prices, like you said. I mean, you don't have to tell us. Was that quite pricey?
Oh yeah, I mean the Villa. So you got 2 for 1. So it was Brentford Villa, and then was Chelsea Fulham for the. I think it was $250 or so. Yeah.
Was it a double header?
I'm just going to die here of an heart attack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $250. Yeah.
God, that's expensive. Because Carl, when I was out in pre-season in China in 2019, we got to see a double header. That was Newcastle and West Ham, I think it was, before City played Wolves. And for one match day ticket to see both games through the OSC, that was only around about probably £60.
Yeah.
Now, given it's China, that probably has something to do with it, but still, I mean, you could just see the price hikes they're now putting on for USA preseason.
It's insane. I mean, the Messi, the Inter Miami, talk about Messi. I mean, tickets are sold out. It's sold out. I mean, it's if you want a ticket to go see Messi, we're talking
that annoyed me, Cal.
It's
the Messi annoyed me because the ultimate stuff after 75 minutes.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, you have to realize is, even for the younger generation now, a lot of parents are getting their kids into football because of the issues with the NFL and the head injuries and all that kind of stuff. And in the basketball, only 5 kids can actually play in the team, and you have subs, but it's really 5 players, right? In football, you can have a squad of 22, right? Different divisions. There's more opportunity, so lots of parents are getting the kids involved, and so and it's 300 million people, right? 300 million.
Well, also, I mean, imagine Messi trying to play, with physically Messi, David Silva, but so many footballers can be brilliant and not be 6'3", 6'4", muscular, and built like brick shithouses. So you have got that fact that football is one of the few sports that still really allows for a lot of players to not be huge. I mean, you get the odd small rugby league player, playing number 6 or 7. You might get the odd, even rugby, even cricket. You don't see many small players anymore. And football's probably that one sport where, if the real big sports where you still get little guys who are 5'7" and can absolutely dominate the game.
Yes.
Sorry, new rule this season. The C word is banned.
Well, you didn't say it.
He did. He said cricket.
Oh, that's C word. Okay.
If you want to watch a man throw his balls at his back, by all means, you have a go at that. Ain't my cup of tea. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, listen, to each time. Go on.
As they always say about Australians in cricket, mate, hitting things and running, it's the criminal mentality. So.
City supposedly have made about £16 million from this pre-season tour. So when he's saying 250 ticket, you can see why. If City are expecting to make that sort of money just from the sponsors, from the tickets, from the sales of stuff, then that means each of those games has got to be worth £5 million. Now, I don't know what a game's worth at the Etihad, but I'd imagine that considering all the costs, etc., it's going to be a fraction of that, excluding the TV money. So they need to charge that money. They need the sponsors to pony up, and that's probably only going to get worse.
I mean, Rich, whenever you see these weird ideas, it always comes down to the motivation of money. The Super League, as terrible as that was at that point in time, after the whole virus thing, was about money. Think about Saudi and what's going on. It's all about the money.
What was the Todd Bowley thing? The inter-promotional North versus South.
Oh, it was the All-Star game. The All-Star game.
Yeah. What are you playing at? No, we're not all going to sit in a circle and sing "Kumbaya." It don't happen like that.
Don't be surprised, mate. With all these American owners on the Premier League club.
No, that's what I mean. That would work in America, but over here, like I said, you won't get a United fan sitting with a Leeds fan going, "Yeah, come on." The players would, because I know the players all go totally weird. The players go to school together. The kids. I get all that. The fans over here. I mean, like I said, there's about 2,000 police people at games.
That's in the US though. There's generally in US sport an absence of internationals. Because you don't play American football and then get into the international team. So what football has, which plays the function of all those all-star games and everything else, is internationals. And it's England internationals getting in the England team and then playing at that level above club, because that really doesn't exist. And maybe a little bit in hockey or basketball, but really virtually non-existent in the other two main sports. You have to have that thing for players to aspire to above just playing for your team. And I think that's why it's big in US sport, but why that doesn't really exist too much. It happens in rugby league. State of Origin's the biggest thing in rugby league in Australia, between Queensland and New South Wales, and that's because international rugby league is virtually non-existent. So that kind of gives that aspirational thing, but it's got to be needed. It's got to be real. Creating something just makes it a bit of a joke.
Okay, you've been really patient, mate. Appreciate it. What do you think? Are fans becoming less and less important in the game?
I think you look back a couple of years ago during the pandemic, and obviously fans were able to go to the games, and we saw the empty stadiums, and a lot of people didn't think it would work, and it did. As much as we hate to say, I mean, yes, obviously the crowds weren't there, so you didn't have that kind of, you know, enthusiasm. You didn't have that, you know, mentality of the crowds, you know, after a goal was scored or a foul was committed or whatever, you know, so you didn't have that, but the game still went ahead. They still played them, you know, with no fans. So I think that showed the owners of all football clubs that they don't need the fans necessarily. It's great to have them there because obviously atmosphere, but you know, when you're talking about money, yeah, we talked about, you know, you all made great points about how much each clubs have made by doing these pre-season tours, but really and truly, I think the big money comes from you know, the investments and the merchandise and the deals they're going to do with Nike and Coca-Cola and all these, you know, sponsors. I think that's really where the big money comes from. I think the problem for me is when it comes to having these games, like having a Premier League game in America, is the players. And literally it comes down to jet lag and stuff like that. I think until they are able to speed up getting people around the planet quicker, so there aren't the issues of jet lag and all this kind of stuff, you're not going to really see these games being played that often. You may get the one-off one, but really and truly, you're not going to see this, you know, one month you're going to see them playing in America, the next month you're going to see them playing in Japan or Australia or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen like that because the players just wouldn't be able to stand it. It just wouldn't work practically. So for me, I think
Aussie with international travel, mate, I don't really think it matters how fast the speed of travel is. At the end of the day, your body has circadian rhythms that, you know, rely on, you know, or adjust based on what time zones you are in. It doesn't matter if you went in a Concorde or if you flew somewhere in a turboprop aircraft. At the end of the day, your body still takes time to adjust to those time zones. And I mean, if you were going to put the Premier League on some sort of global tour, where they were able to play 1 week in the Far East, and then, you know, 5 days later they play a match on the East Coast of the United States or something like that, it didn't matter how quickly it would be to get there. The same players that played in the Southeast would still be absolutely dead on their feet by halftime in the next match.
Can I just try and quash something? You said a minute ago, Ozzy, during COVID, it proved it didn't need fans. Why did so many clubs take loans out then?
You mean like the government were giving out loans because they were on offer, for one thing? I mean, I think there was the big controversy with Tottenham and Daniel Levy looking at getting one, and actually they didn't really need it. I think the same was with Liverpool. You know, they were going to grab the money. I think because the money was on offer for a lot of clubs, they just thought, why the hell not? They would grab it with both arms.
I agree with you on them. Liverpool was a disgrace.
Just to back up Aussie. So a lot of companies, not just football clubs, but companies, when the money was available from the government, cheap money at good rate, they got it and parked it and used and keep it for. Now rates are what, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% sometimes. Some of those companies still have that cash from 3%, which is basically an investment that they have right now, as opposed to getting money right now. So they seize that opportunity to get those loans. A lot of companies did that during the pandemic.
Oh, no, I agree with you, but I'm not so much talking Liverpool, because Liverpool were not a disgrace. Tottenham, I think they put all their eggs in the stadium. That was the problem with them. They built their stadium and had to pay that. I was thinking more because Southampton actually owed 80 million quid nearly after COVID.
Wages.
Well, they still got to pay for paramedics, which you know us is not cheap. Still had to pay for policing. Still had to pay for stewards. Still had to pay the media. All of that cost still comes in. They even had a food bill. So obviously for the some media that were in had to get fed and watered while they were in there. That still costs money. So some unless you were in the top echelons, the City, United, saying United, and they've just failed FFP. But managed to bang 200 million out this summer. By the way, off topic, any United fan tells me the Glazers don't back them, they're getting it. I'm going to go mad at them because they're talking out their Red Richter.
Yep.
They just banged another 200 million down for you. Do not tell me your owners do not back you.
Yep.
Don't even have the brass tax to even come at that one when you're spending 30 million quid more on a B-Tech bloody Haaland, on Haaland Wish, because he's called Hoyland to Haaland, and you want to compare him. Haaland from Wish, and you think you can get off. Anyway, that's my rant over tonight. No, that's all I mean. So, yes, I think City and that did show no fans could work. I think when you got to the middle of the Premier League, though, I think that's when it became the struggle without having 40, 50,000 in. Like Everton, perfect example.
Yeah.
They needed that money. They needed those fans in, that revenue, and they couldn't get it.
Everton's problem was that they spent too much money on useless players that couldn't take them up to up. Look at Leicester, right? Spent all that money.
Leicester were on this list as well. Yeah, Leicester were big.
Didn't make Champions League, lost the revenue, which is why when I hear stories about Mbappe going to Chelsea, I just laugh. It's just, but it's the money, Martin. It's the income and the wages. We talked about this years ago, you and I, about this issue of a wages to income. It's a massive problem. And so the Premier League is scratching their heads thinking, how can we make more money as a franchise? I use that word loosely, right? The 20 clubs. How do we generate more income? Because in a year's time, I believe, TV rights go on sale again. All goes on sale again. And I bet you the numbers that are going to be offered in those TV rights are going to be probably 3 or 4 times what they are now. Because it's all going digital.
I think the other thing that I was going to, sorry, Mario, the other thing I was going to say, like, because we're talking about like the Saudi League and them just coming along now and kind of rivaling the Premier League in some respects when it comes to money. I think the other big problem for the Premier League, and I think we've seen it, over the last couple of windows, is that the rest of Europe hasn't really got any money. I think that's one of the big factors. That's why you saw us last summer sell Zinchenko and Jesus to Arsenal. And that's something we never would have done a few summers ago.
Why we can't sell Laporte and Cancelo?
Exactly. We can't sell these players because they're on big wages. They were wanting big transfer wage money for them. So you talk about the big clubs in Europe. Your Barcelona's, your Real Madrid's, your Bayern Munich's just haven't got the money they used to compared to what the Premier League has got. The Premier League is still. I know this Saudi Arabia League has got a lot of money, but really hasn't got the pull. Do you know what I mean? Because if it had the pull, for me, you would be getting exodus of so many players. It's getting older players, and it's getting some players who are just going for the money, who are the mercenaries. You're not seeing you're not seeing the big Mo Salahs, the Haalands. You're not seeing these players go. You know what? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they probably did.
Which, by the way, I slagged Mbappe off for this, but I give him praise. He told them where to go blindly.
Rich, and the Saudis will never have it, though. It's impossible, because what makes the Premier League special, for me at least, and for us who watch, is the fact that you have the history of the clubs behind it. You have the rivalry, the nuances of each. What's that? Fulham's called. What's Fulham's ground called again?
Craven
Cottage.
Craven Cottage, right? The story about Craven Cottage. You go to Palace, the story about it. It's the story behind each club. It's the rivalry.
Did you see what the Cans did to Fulham when they went in? And what they did to their price hike? Oh, their fans went off the edge. They were like, no. Revamp that back. I've got a question to you. You said there, Roz, Saudi Arabian League has money. I'm going to take umbrage to you on that. I don't think it does.
Really?
The owners, the FI, have money. The league doesn't. This is what I'm saying. This is where you've got to be careful how you're wording it. PFI have the money. How long do you think FIFA are going to sit there and go, Yeah, pump all your money in PFI and off you go. They're going to do that for 10 years, 20 years?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Because I read, like I said earlier on, if they wrap the suit, if they went, if PFI stopped tomorrow, went no more money, about 6 clubs would go bankrupt instantly.
Mm.
They'd be gone. Because
Newcastle would be in that too.
Where did I read? I think it was Al Hilal. What someone said, they don't even generate enough money to pay one player's wage. So they have no chance. So this is what I'm saying. This is what I was saying to you, Carl. I think it's great now. The minute FIFA go, right, now we're going to regulate you.
Yeah, but the problem, Martin, with that is that money, look at Live Golf. Money does weird things to people's brains. I'm telling you, mate.
Martin, when have you ever seen FIFA do something to take money out of football coming outside the game?
China.
They've never done a thing.
China, Rich. You stop China, whether you like it or not. You stop China.
China was far more about the Chinese government than it was about FIFA
China stopped itself as much
and
as
the money.
Yeah,
China stops itself, and that might happen here.
and that wasn't that doesn't even factor in COVID.
What I'm saying, listen, I wish Saudi Arabia League all the best. My issue is they don't actually have the money to do what they're doing.
But that's like saying, Jeff Bezos didn't have the money to set up Amazon. You know, the reality is if they think they've got an end game, you know, City's own, you know, what they're doing is
they're doing the 2030.
Slightly different. They're trying to do the whole league the way Abu Dhabi came to try and do City, or Saudi Arabia came to do that.
Yeah,
you know,
Rich,
if they...
You should know this. Abu Dhabi's finances compared to them is astronomical.
Yes, it's more. Yeah.
I was reading. Yeah, I had this debate with the Newcastle fan. They were telling me the richest club in the league. Went, you're not actually.
They're not. I mean,
put this on card paper.
Martin,
they're not.
Yeah.
The weird thing about this is people don't know that the wealthiest sovereign fund in the world, right? 1, 2, 3. Number 1 is Norway's, right? Number 2, number 2, but number 3 is Abu Dhabi. I think PIF Saudi is probably number 3.
Are you suggesting that we're not a privately owned company, guys? Sheikh Mansour, you know, because you need to go to the FA. You need to go to the if you're claiming our ownership, it's different. You're getting a bit like the Tariq Panja, etc. You know, it's on record. We're privately owned by Sheikh Mansour.
Correction.
He's only worth
Sheikh
about
Mansour
30 billion.
Or AD IG or whatever it is. Which one is it, Rich? Is it Sheikh Mansour or ADIG?
Well, who's the owner of Addock? That's the thing.
This is the debate I had with the Newcastle fan. Said it depends who you say who owns Setter. Is it Sheikh Mansour or is it ADIG?
But you've got to also remember that PFI is only one of sovereign wealth funds. I mean, they all have different sovereign wealth funds, and Saudi Arabia is richer than the Emirates. I mean, you know, by some multiples. So.
How does Saudi Arabia create their wealth?
Oil.
They dig it out the ground, and they have the whole world buying it from them.
Crude oil, but because I watched a really good documentary. Does anyone watch HTIC or whatever they're called? What's it called? Is it HTI sevens?
HITC.
Yeah, really. Go and watch it. He does a really good thing on it, and how Saudi Arabia actually doesn't have the funds behind it, really. Because it's all to this 2030 plan to do this World Cup, get tourism up. They're all trying to go to this big... They've even got posters up and signage on the things of 2030. It's all about getting to 2030. This target for them. And like I said, I wish them all the best. And they're basically doing... I just think the idea of taking games abroad, for me, should be pre-season. It should be pre-season. And just for me, and I've seen so many local fans, and I hate doing this terminology. Local fans and fans abroad all arguing with each other, bitching at each other, saying, who knows this? I know that. Your gate, you know, like I said, I've told everyone this. I got blocked by 3 or 4 people last week because I got told it was fans like me ruining the football club. So he blocked me. And I think you had a tete-a-tete with them as well, Carl.
It's called the treble effect, mate.
You know, win a treble and become a bit of a dickhead. I don't know what that was about.
The treble effect.
Like, wow, hello.
But we all knew this was honestly, we all knew this was going to happen. I mean, seriously, right? The moment you win the treble, the Champions League, we all know this is going to end up happening. You're going to get all kinds of.
Yeah, I get that, but it's. I just think, to me, and this is just me. Anyone can disagree or jump in. You said it earlier, Carl, and Vater said it, and Pat, you said on numerous occasions. Anyone for me can be a Manchester City fan. No one owns it. But learn the history, learn the heritage, learn everything about the football club. And if you want to come here with open arms. Come and learn about Manchester. Come and see Manchester. Come and see Main Road. Come and see the Etihad. Whatever. They're not building a 60. I keep saying this. They're not building a 5-star hotel for me 5 minutes down the bloody road. They're building it for you. They're not building it for me. It ain't being built for me, a Big Steve or the City Extra lads or Aussie. They're not. No offence, but they're building it for the likes of Pat and Rich and Carl and Misery Guts Allen in the chat down here. That's who they're building it for. To come and say in the Sheikh Mansour suite. So why do you then want to take the team abroad when you're being built an hotel? Welcome them, come on. Have a walk across the sky of the Etihad.
It's fair. That's a fair argument.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and plus, do you know what makes me laugh? This is the big thing. You said, Carl, a minute ago, I paid thousands for games. Save some money, get on a plane to England and pay 50 quid for a game over there. You're saving money. That's not fair. This is what...
Yeah. That money saved is a good. That money saved is a considerable chunk towards your transatlantic flights there and back.
That's what I mean. It's actually cheaper to come here than it is to go out there.
Yeah, I said on previous shows, Martin. I said the tickets for Spurs at home last season was more expensive than a night's accommodation at the hotel I usually stay at in Manchester.
Yeah, I just listen. I have no issues. Yeah, and I'll even. Building a Starbucks, I'll get anyone come over here, I'll buy a Starbucks on me. Trust me. I'm just saying. The simple fact is, honestly, it is cheaper for you to come here.
He won't get the coffee you want, though. I repeatedly asked for a flat white, and he's like, "What's that? Just have a latte."
You asked for a flat white?
I asked for a flat white, yeah.
You're the kind of person who has a TV with just 4 channels still, aren't you? Messing with the
I don't even use my TV, mate.
Do you know what I think would be better? One way of solving this, and disagree with me all you want. You said this, I think you mentioned it, Rich, as well, Carl has. When this deal is up, go to Netflix, go to Amazon Prime, do something and negotiate that out, where you get the money. Or we have to introduce a wage cap. Fans cannot be punished for players and clubs going out of hand. They can't. I understand we all want the top players, but Manchester City or Newcastle United or Fulham or Aston Villa, you take Aston. Imagine Liverpool being asked to play the Merseyside derby away from Anfield. Oh no, it's the Anfield crowd. It gets us over the line. It's not going to do that in the middle of bloody Australia.
That's a good example, though, to be fair. That's a good example. That's a good example.
Do you know what I mean? What are you going to do then? Liverpool fans have bloody kittens now for people coming over from Ireland. I get mesmerised on it of it. It's like me. If I chose to support Bayern Munich or Ajax, I want to go to Ajax. I'm choosing it. I'm not then going to support Ajax and tell an Ajax supporter in 30 years, you come here. Why? Because I've chosen to support your football club. I'm going to learn all about it. I'm going to love it, but you come here. He's going to be like, bollocks, you chose it. You come here.
I think the trouble is, Martin, and this is the reality. Taking out the things, but you can see this exact same thing in music. You know, as a teenager, just talk about music as an entertainment. You know, one of the other biggest entertainments in the world. You know, against sport. When I was a teenager, I went a few times to watch Radiohead play in Oxford for free in the pub, or you pay £2 on the door. But when they became big, I chose to support them. You know, I like their music. I saw them in Oxford. But when they became big, suddenly it's £100 to go and see them play.
Yeah.
And I can't go and see them in the local pub anymore. I have to go down to Wembley to see them. And you know, and if it's bloody like my daughter chose 8 years ago to become a Taylor Swift fan, a mad Taylor Swift fan. Saw her 5 years ago, but now she's not got a chance of seeing her because the tickets are sold out and going for, like, in the US 10-20 grand a pop to go and see them. So the unfortunate thing is, when something becomes an entertainment business and not the original purpose, you know, is that fans get priced out and get geographically moved out of the support. And you know what's happening in football is exactly what happens with music. When someone gets big, the people who watch them in the local pub for 20, you know, supported them, built the band, can no longer see them, no longer get near them, no longer watch them, and they have to go and listen to it on Spotify or whatever, you know, which I guess is the equivalent of watching on Sky or Netflix or something. And I think that's the sad reality. Is, you know, for me, City's about what City were 40 years ago, not what they are today. For me, it was about, you know, the local team in Manchester, family supporting them, mates supporting them, and that kind of experience. And that was always as good in Division 2 as it was in the Premier League. In many ways, much better as an experience on the day. But that's not what, sadly, you know, for better and for worse, that's not what City are anymore. It's not what football is anymore. Football is an entertainment in the same way as music or, you know, other sports or television, and it's getting priced as the quality gets better, as the product gets better, as demand gets higher. You get priced. It prices out all the original people who supported it, and you know, and does that at some point that can blow up, because if you lose all your heart and soul long-term fans and something goes wrong, who supports you? But that's what football's doing, and I think it's, I don't know, I have a feeling that the Champions League will do something going away before the Premier League will, because I think European football is under massive threat of the money in the Premier League, and Saudi Arabia is just making that worse. So personally, I see it's far more likely we'll see Champions League games in the US, or you know, an El Clasico in the US before we see.
We already have El Clasicos in the US, Rich. It's happening. What happened?
No, I mean a league, a league
one, yeah,
a league game. Yeah, I think that's going to happen first, because they need the money more than the Premier League do, and that's what the Super League. The Super League was entirely about trying to take money out of the Premier League, because if they could get 5-6 Premier League clubs to join the Super League, they would impoverish the other 14 Premier League sides, and that was the plan.
All right,
We'll take that money off those 14 clubs and shift it into Europe by making the 6 Premier League clubs richer.
Say you do that, you take some games to America or Australia or Japan or even Saudi Arabia, because I think that might be one of the end games we'll get to in the end, is we'll go out to Saudi Arabia. I think for City, United, for Arsenal, Chelsea, great. What do you do if you're Luton Town, Sheffield United, Burnley?
Exactly.
You ain't got that support, Rich.
Yeah. And what you know, if you look at the rugby league, you know, the rugby league thing is that teams can sell their home games. what would happen there is
games,
Luton would sell their home game against United or City to New York and make a lot of money they couldn't otherwise make, and destroy
stadium.
They'd give it up in a second. They'd give it up in a second if they sold the game for 10 million.
As you told you, rang you up and had a phone call with you.
I think it's pretty bloody. It's pretty obvious.
No, I don't think it is. I really don't. I don't think Luton have got thousands of fans abroad.
No, but they don't. I'm saying they get paid to that. What?
So you're saying fans don't matter?
You don't go and buy the stadium. You get told by, we will buy your home game for X million. The promoters and the company buying it then have to deal with that problem. That's not Luton's problem.
So what does the
that then destroys the integrity of the game.
And what does the Luton season ticket holder
City have to play an away game. Luton's season ticket holder isn't given a shit about by the Luton owners.
That's the whole part. So.
I mean, Manly. I'm a member of Manly. I'm a season ticket holder at Manly. They sell their game to Brisbane, their home game to Brisbane. I've got no interest in flying up to Brisbane to, spending what would be $500, $600 on a day to watch a game up in Brisbane. But I don't think Manly worry for 1 second, whether it's going to upset me. Getting one less game, they get paid their $500,000 or whatever they get paid, and they bank that, and that helps them pay the salaries for the players.
I wish we could have Beta on, because Beta's really good at this. Cal, you might be on slot. A lot of people said about NFL play games over there.
They do, right? Every year.
I asked Beta this. I know there was a big kick up and fuss about it in America, wasn't there, about coming over there?
Yeah, Beta knows more about it than I do. Yeah. He knows more about that than I do, but I do recall there was a big kick up. But now they're used to it now. They're used to it.
Says, and listen, a dig. You have franchises, don't you, Carl?
Yeah.
Is that the road we end up going down? We start franchising the Premier League club.
No, I think the nature, what makes the Premier League so exciting is the fact that, one, there's relegation and promotion. Two, it's the pyramid structure. Three, it's a history of the clubs, the townships around them. That's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it unique. That's why you'll find the oddest couple supporting, what's that new club that just got promoted? The one that from LA, the actors, but the one that got promoted. Wrexham, right?
Yeah.
One of my
something I wanted to ask too, because I was just thinking,
yeah,
how much money would that, being a League Two side, would Wrexham make from that pre-season match that they had against the Rags?
A ton of money.
A lot of money for a League Two side, yeah.
Yeah, a ton of money.
Yeah, but I think Wrexham are looked upon as this nice little darling club, aren't they? Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool's there. It's all nice.
Yeah.
Because they're down in the third tier of football. Do you think you go to anyone in League Two? Do you think they're happy about Wrexham? Or do you think they're all going, excuse me, this is not fair?
I think if it brings one thing on this, if you look at the pre-COVID crowds in the National League compared to last season, it was over 1,000 higher on average per game. So what Wrexham did do, which benefited the whole league, was they brought, crowds and sponsorship into that league. So I suspect in Division 2, it depends whether there is any effect, because, clearly there was, non-league was very much local fans, but no media attention, nothing. And Wrexham, because of this thing, brought all that into that league, which benefited benefited players, benefited a lot of other teams, etc. Now, does that go now, or do some of those teams retain an extra few hundred or 500 fans? Does that league get a bit more attention? If that happens, then they will have benefited from it. If it doesn't, then it's a one-off. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the other teams are happy or unhappy in Division 2. Depends whether it overall benefits that league.
Right,
and
Rick,
okay, we'll see.
I agree with that. I'm sorry to jump in. Take your finance head off. put your fan head on. I know what you're saying, it brings in the crowd.
Yeah.
But is there an element of what I just said, though, of unfair? What's the word? Because we're all looking at Wrexham in the minute as a nice project, great.
Yeah.
The same as a lot of people are doing with Newcastle. The minute Newcastle start finishing second and third year in, year out, tunes will change. Things all go different.
Football is inherently unfair. I mean, what Wrexham may be in Division 2 is a poor man's version of what City were when we were in Division 2. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, did the rest of that league like City going down to Division 2 or not? I would say, from chatting to fans that season, everything else, that they did enjoy it. You know, they took more away fans. Most of those teams took the most away fans they took to go to Main Road, because it was like probably partly funny that you're a Chesterfield fan and you're playing City in the league, and probably partly you're going to a club with players you've actually heard of, and, you know, different dimensions. So I think City going down to Division 2 added a lot to the league and made it, got that league more attention, got the fans an interesting experience. So I think, you know,
Rich, we nearly went out of business.
Wrexham would be
our owner.
Yeah, but by the standards of Premier League and even Championship, their owners are poor. Their owners are wealthy.
Rich, you know how
when
bad
they're dealing in Division 2.
Rich, we were like United. There was piss on our seats at Main Road back then. Let's call us. Let's be straight.
Yeah. But it was good for the league. It was good for the league.
The Pines had dog cats and a bit of the back end, horse in it.
Yeah, but it was good for Division 2. People loved it. Yeah, people loved it. It was good for Division 2.
I mean, Ozzy, the simple answer, I'll be straight where I'm at. If they take games abroad, one game abroad, Premier League, I have no issue with a Community Shield one day. Like they do in Spain. Have the League Cup, whatever. I think you've still got complications then, because what do you do with the lower league clubs? Like I said, you're not going to get Rochdale travelling over to LA. Just not going to work. Like, move the League Cup to pre-season. Some, I don't know. But if they do one Premier League game abroad, my days as the Manchester City fan end. I will always love the club. I'll always be there. But I'm done. My season ticket will go in. Will never come back. I will be done. Because they've sold.
Even if it's not City.
No, I'm asking you. A wheelbarrow full of £1 million.
Yeah.
I'm done. We are Manchester City. Not this is a circus. Let's go round the world City.
Even if it was not City.
What do you mean?
Well, let's say what happened in rugby league happened in football, and they allowed clubs to do it. City said, we're not doing it. We're playing our 19 games at home, but Aston Villa.
I don't think that'll happen.
Let's say Aston Villa's playing.
No. I'm asking a question. Yeah, Aston Villa got offered 50 million to take 3 games to New York, and they played. It wasn't us, obviously, because
Brighton, West Ham,
Tottenham, and West Ham.
Yeah,
I'd like City to be guilty of the 115 charges and for us to go down 2 or 3 divisions. I wouldn't want to be part of that crap. It's not circus. It's not circus.
No. I think what Rich is saying is just like, does your opinion on that happening stay the same if City doesn't do that? I mean, it certainly would create cause for concern for you. I know it definitely would. You'd be looking over your shoulder thinking this is going to happen at some point.
Different. I would I'd stay with City. I'd be like, yes, you backed it. Well done. Get in there. I'd be more scared about the sport in general. If that makes sense. I'd be like, where are we going to go here?
Because I don't know how they do it.
To answer that, Rick, I don't know how one team can say yes and one team says no. I know that happens in other sports, but I don't think it would be a voluntary thing if they do it. I think it'll be.
I mean, it's an interesting question. Yeah. in say rugby league in Australia, it's the clubs decide. So they make that call and they're allowed to do it. I don't know how it's done in the NFL. I mean, I haven't ever seen someone like Green Bay give up a home game. But I think the Giants in Minnesota have this year, which people who sell out.
I haven't got a clue.
Massively.
DC's put I'm a baseball fan, and by the way, I'm going to bring all your comments up. I've starred a lot of them because you put in great comments. I'm not ignoring them. I'm a baseball fan, and even I think it's cringe when MLB plays the London series. Players are jet lagged when they get home. I just don't get it. Ozzy.
Actually, I'm a big baseball fan. DC. I'm a big baseball fan too, and yeah, the London series is a little bit weird. I mean, going to a ballpark for me is as much of an occasion as it is going to Manchester or City play. Because I lived in New York for 2 years. I grew up on the game. I love watching the game as well too. And I do maybe not take it as seriously, but yeah, when I'm in the States, I'll do my best to go to a ballpark and watch a game because there is a sense of occasion to it, and I really do enjoy it. And then taking it abroad, it's just I don't know. In 2014, they had the season opener for the Major League Baseball season at the Sydney Cougar Ground, and while it was good, the two games were meant to be competitive. It did feel like a bit of a novelty, and that's what I would feel like when you start taking established competitions and you start putting them abroad with some sort of competitive factor into them. They just suddenly fall into like a bit of a novelty in a way for me. So, if I try to sound like a purist, I want to be a purist. Things have to stay where they belong, and I just feel like the money talks. Money just gets too loud.
Yeah, Aussie's, by the way, not feeling too good, so Aussie's going to leave. Aussie, do you want to say anything before we shoot, mate? Or before you shoot? Before we shoot, you shoot.
I have to shoot too. So
I'll come to you in a minute. Mister, football's got no soul. I'd give it in for a $5. Go on, Oz.
Yeah, just before I go, guys, really sorry I can't stay. Not feeling great. But yeah, I agree with a lot of the comments that you guys have said. Really, it's one of those things where you do feel that the soul. Fans are fighting for the soul of their football clubs, and you feel that. As you said, Martin, if even one Premier League game is played abroad, you'll feel cheated. You'll feel like, what on earth is going on with your club? And I get that mentality. I also kind of understand in the respects of where like a Pat or any person abroad like Rich and stuff like that, where they want to see these games, because they're hungry, because they don't get to come over to the UK often enough. So I can see both points in some respects, but I think when it just comes down to money, sadly, this is what we all know, that when you're paying for the likes of these players, when you're paying £100 million for players, and when you're paying the extortionate wages, this is what the cost comes, sadly. And I think until there's a cap on wages and a cap on transfers, this is just going to keep spiraling and going to keep happening. And I'm sure the Super League will come back around at some stage. Sadly, these things just seem to never want to go away. So, but thanks for having me on, guys. I'm really sorry I can't stay longer, but I'll catch you all soon.
You're right, Ozzy. Rest up, mate. Take it easy.
Stay safe. Go on then, Rich. Are you going to replace me when I piss off?
No. I don't think we're going to see the Premier League be the ones who break this taboo. I think
this whole
I think it'll be. No. I think it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen in the Champions League, in La Liga, and other things before it happens in the Premier League. I think the Premier League, in many ways, the secret to the Premier League commercially is, yeah. But I'll just start saying no. That's a question.
How would it work in Germany with fan?
I don't think it will happen in Germany, because I think Germany looks at football slightly differently. There's not so many people in Germany trying to make profit out of the game. They don't have the, half a league of American owners trying to drive long-term profit out of the game. And let's be quite honest here, it's American owners who are going to drive this, not owners from anywhere else. But why I think the Premier League will be safe for a bit longer is the secret of the Premier League and the success of the Premier League. Is driven by a couple of things. One is that history and the culture of the fans, the atmosphere, etc. And doing anything like this will damage that. So moving games will hurt the actual essence of the Premier League. Secondly, the thing about the Premier League that makes it so powerful is the even sharing of the money. So it is a competition where the money is shared out incredibly evenly compared to other competitions, and so the bottom club will get 75% or whatever of what the top club gets, because the core share of money and the big six are trying to have been trying to change that with overseas rights not being shared fairly and with more TV appearance money and more prize money as a percentage. So that is changing, but fundamentally that is what means that Brentford can do the double over City, treble winners City, and Brentford did the double over us. And I think those two things make it very hard for the Premier League to make the call, because for the Premier League to do it, they're going to attack two of the basic, strongest, most important points of the Premier League. Whereas La Liga, the Champions League and stuff like that, they don't have those things holding them back. And so I think games in America will happen, but I think it's far more likely to be, City against Bayern Munich in the Champions League in New York than it ever is City United in New York.
That's a good shout. No, and you know what? I keep saying this. This is why I said do a League Cup or do. I'm not comfortable with the Champions League either, but I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't like the way football's going. Maybe I'm being an old fuddy-duddy. I understand that. And I understand the City have changed and they've now got global fans all over the world. And it is great. It's built our club and everything else. It's tremendous. I'm just saying that I don't know why. Do you know what? I'm going to tell you something very quick. I know you got to jump, Rich. This summer, your top partners, it's been the first time I was umming and ahhing about renewing my season ticket. And that wasn't because I'm not a fan and I don't love the football club. It was about I can see where football's going to go. And do I get off the train before we hit that station? You know what I mean? Do I ride it as long as I can before I can't ride no more? Or do I get off? Now, when we've done a treble and said thanks very much. Unless I've said I'll always love City, it's always going to be in my heart. But I don't like the way football's going. I don't. That's maybe being a moral high stand, I don't know, but I feel
and Martin, that's I've got family members who gave up season tickets when games stopped being at the weekend.
My dad did.
When Saturday 3:00 was for 30 years had been a way of life, and when it was suddenly Tuesday at 7, Sunday at 6, it disrupted lives in a way that meant that
Newcastle United, Rich.
Yeah.
What time is our first home game, everyone? 8 p.m. on Saturday, which is okay for Manchester City fans, but the poor Newcastle fans, I've got to come all the way from. I know I'm not saying it's like this is something I got told the other day.
I do have to go.
Rich. Take care, mate. Are you all right staying for a bit longer, Pat? Have you got to jump?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Cheers, bro. I'll speak to you tomorrow, mate.
Cheers, thank you. Bye.
See you, Rich. Catch you, mate.
I feel awful saying that, and I feel dirty saying that. I do. But like I got told the other day by a fan in America, and I won't mention his name. It wasn't Carl or Vader, and it was someone on Twitter who ended up we blocked each other because I tried giving my opinion, but he just told me it was all my fault. Fans like me who live in the 90s. But anyway, he said, I get up at 5 a.m. as you do at silly o'clock. Which I respect anyone who does that. Totally get it. But as I said to him, what about the fans who travel thousands of miles every season? Do you think going to London on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock?
Well, you want to talk about getting up at 4 or 5 a.m. Isn't that what time most Blues get up over there in Manchester if they've got an away day down in London at 12:30?
Like me on Sunday, going to Wembley. I won't be back till about 1 a.m. I'm going to leave my house at about 10, 11 o'clock. No, I won't. Probably earlier.
Yep.
I'll get home at 1 a.m.
Yep.
Think that's fun?
No.
So this is what I mean. We're all doing our part, but we're Manchester City. I am all... It's like I don't agree with £78 tickets. This thing with Newcastle, 37 quid just to go in a membership scheme. One thing our club has done, loyalty points. They've looked after the loyal fans. So, what Newcastle are doing loyalty points. It's like United. United have a platinum membership, a silver membership, and like a bronze membership. Newcastle are going down that road now. 37 quid gets you in a ballot, and by the way, you don't choose your own seat, you get told where you're sitting. So, and the prices start from 44 quid all the way up to £74. What happens if you enter 19 ballots and get 74 quid every single ballot? You are paying over 1,500 quid a season in Newcastle, a working class setter with hard working Geordies.
There will be people out there say, well, it's still cheaper than what you pay for a season ticket at Spurs or Arsenal, but that's the North, mate. They're all hard grafters. It's blue collar. It's hard grafters up there, and unfortunately to say that there are going to be people there that won't be able to afford that. Yeah.
And there are fans out there who are watching this right now, watching back and playback, and you're all saying, because I know some of you will, someone who I know very well will be doing that right now. It's the way the game is. If you don't like it, don't go. No, because if we accept all this crap, that's why they get away with it.
You give them an inch. You give an inch, they'll take a mile.
Exactly. You have to take the stand at some point. Because without fans, a football club is soulless. No offense.
We need to start. The fan base need to start Germanizing. Do what the Germans
laughed
do.
at your top video. Nearly 3,000 views on a short. I went off my head thinking, what the hell's happened here? Tremendous. Even got shown on City Extra, by the way, LB. Freddie. No, I'm joking. I'm joking for anyone goes, Martin said copyright on his video. No. No, the simple fact is, Patty's singing during a training session. All jokes aside, why is Pat singing on his own, ladies and gents? Pat is like those fans in there, global. And I hate that term. But he is. He's a fan abroad. Took Manchester City into his heart. Travels all around the world. Pat's singing his heart out. On his own. Is that what we want now? I have no problem with a fan around the world. Learn the songs. Pat's there teaching them the songs. That's great. That's what we want. Get the message out there. I don't want to see, as much as it was brilliant, pantomime football. It's a throw-in. Let's have a Mexican wave at a throw-in. No, you're all right. Newcastle United, I keep mentioning it. All their fans were over the moon with their buyout from PFI. Over the moon. Now you're seeing the reality of it. Because the achieve the Champions League a lot quicker. They need to get the revenues up. Because do you think they really wanted to buy Harvey Barnes this summer? You think that's what the PFI and Amanda Staveley's long-term vision is, Harvey Barnes? They want the Haaland.
We've got that FFP shadow looming as well too, so they've got to be careful.
And it's not even FFP anymore. It's now this UEFA sustainability.
Oh God!
And that is actually on your income ratio. So if you don't bring in a lot of money, guess what, ladies and gents? You can't spend a lot of money. Now, Newcastle have just got this seller deal on their shirt for 25, 30 million a season. That's what we're getting for our training, one of our training shirts. United, £900 million deal with Adidas. That's where Newcastle have got to strive to. They're the deals they've got to try and get. So I just, for me, pre-season and talk about a cup at some point. Any league games need to stay here.
Martin, if we're going to talk about possibly, just from a City standpoint, if we wanted to look at meet in the middle for those who, want to see City competitive matches go on the road and those that want to stay in England. And I'm totally in your court with it. It belongs in England. It should always be in England. This expanded Club World Cup for 2025. To me, this sounds like from what they're proposing, looks like it might be something that could actually keep all parties happy. And I mean, we've seen what the Club World Cup has done. It's gone all over the world. It's gone to Saudi Arabia. It went to Morocco. It's been to Japan. And they're talking about expanding it to like 32 teams, in 2025 for the United States, which I think it's a good move for FIFA because it's a good way to sort of hype up what's going to happen in 12 months later with the FIFA World Cup being in USA, Canada, and Mexico. Now, I think there's a lot of clubs, a lot of fans out there that would take that competition seriously. I don't think City does take it necessarily seriously because we've never been in that position yet. But if they want to expand it to where they can bring in more, from the European standpoint, they can bring in more clubs that have a high UEFA coefficient. They want to bring in clubs that, are willing to send their team out there because they feel like they can get a bit of money going. Then I think it's an opportunity for FIFA and for the respective footballing governing bodies for each continent to actually try and expand the game and get their clubs out and about and globalize the game. So I think that is, I don't think it's the be all and end all. And I don't think it's going to solve the whole global versus local issue if there is a versus, or if there is some sort of competitiveness to it. But I think it's at this point in time, it's a good alternative to this discussion for the time being.
Yeah. I mean, here's a question. I hate saying this. Do Manchester City care about fans here? Or is it more about, is football going to the fans abroad more?
I think City care more about the fans if you want to compare it to what other clubs in the Premier League are doing. I do feel that in the last 10 to 15 years or so, there has been a sense of a bit of an alienation to certain members. We can use perfect example is obviously your dad versus the Tunnel Club, basically. That's a good example. And I'm sure there's many others. There's dozens, probably even hundreds of other scenarios or people or City fans or even just fans of other clubs in the Premier League or even, clubs that are now in the Championship that were in the Premier League, only a few years ago that have been the similar in the same boat as well. I think the problem now is that the focus now has been more on clubs are focused on fans with the biggest wallets. Their main concern now is they're not necessarily too concerned as much about the regular season ticket holder who sees 19 home games a season. Their main target now is getting tourist A in 1 week who's going to fork out 300 quid at the gift shop after the game, and then tourist B the following week or in a fortnight's time who's going to fork out 500 quid at the gift shop, or may even consider forking out the 360 quid to do the tunnel club as well. So week by week, I don't think they're really too concerned about tourist A or tourist B, just as long as their butt is filling up that seat every week, because they know at the end of the day you're going to fill your seat at the north stand. Big Steve's going to fill his seat at the south stand. But where they make their money is from tourist A and tourist B, filling up those Colin Bell ground level seats, those tunnel club seats. The occasional corporate box as well too. Look, the way I see it is, I'm going to use comparisons here to aviation. Go figures. I'm back at work at Qantas in a few hours' time. The way majority of airlines make their profit is by selling their economy class seats. That's why you hear there's times you'll actually hear when you go to check in, they say this flight's oversold, because that's basically where airlines basically make the money back on a flight. If they can fill economy class, every single seat that is sold in business class, in premium economy and business class, additional cargo, additional freight, that is all a profit. So the first class to business class, to a football club, in my opinion, the first class to business class, the premium customers are your tunnel clubs, are your ones that are going to fork out the several hundred quid at the gift shop. Yourself, your Big Steves, your DAPs, your season ticket holders who've been there for 20 years, they're your economy class customers. They're the ones that they're the ones that are going to fill up. They're the ones that are going to be there. They're the ones that are basically going to be. They're the ones that are just going to be there week in, week out. They're going to be the ones that fill up, and they're the ones that are going to balance the books basically.
Burger's put Burger, thank you. I heard from someone within City that Omar Barada said the club would be better without fans attending matches. We said with COVID when we could attend, and we couldn't attend.
Yeah.
Is it just becoming too much of a business?
I suppose one thing I say about what Barada said was that I would like to know what his projections, if he would have said the same thing if COVID didn't happen.
And in what context? I think we've got to look at the context of the interview as well. Because context is key here.
Yep.
I don't want to go in, because this is the problem when you read a newspaper or you read an article online. You don't know the tone, the context, or whatever is being said. Some of these things could be a response to a question, and all they're going to pull out is the response. You've not actually seen what the conversation was about. I don't know. I'm very, like, a lot of people play City don't care about local fans. A lot of people think that, and I understand why, Pat. I do. And this is not a knock at fans abroad. The trouble is, I said this to Carly years ago, in fact. Carl gets emails before I get an email. Simply because I'm the season ticket holder. They've got my money. It's already there. They've got it. I'm, like you said, I'm not going to go down to the Etihad. Well, actually, I do. And spend money, which I do. And I do buy food and drink, but I'm not. I'm, like I said, I'm not going to stay in the hotel. Not going to go on the bloody Etihad stadium walk. I don't do the tour. I haven't done the tour in about 10 years. It's just, all I care about is watching Manchester City. It's not a day out for me. Part of my life, my upbringing. I'm not going there. Let's put it away. Some people look at football like they're going to the cinema. So they watch their favourite film, they get popcorn, sweets, nachos, hot dogs, 3 drinks, whatever, and they go to town. Or say you're doing date night once a month, you go to a fancy restaurant. If you were going to a nice restaurant and eating out every night, you won't be going to the fancy restaurants, if that makes sense. It's the same.
You can't go to Pep's Tast restaurant every week.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. Manchester City to me is not a night out or a day out. It's a way of life. I'm going in
It's almost routine.
I don't get the tunnel club. Like I said, I appreciate everyone who sits there. Thank you, good luck. But they don't sing. And you don't even have to be a City fan to go in it. No. I want to be in go to Tunnel Club with a Nottingham Forest fan, or a United fan, or a Liverpool fan. I don't want to get suited and booted to go to a football match. I get suited and booted to go to a nice restaurant or go to a wedding. This is what I mean. It's just, I don't know where football's going a little bit. And it's sad. And I see fans arguing on Twitter, locals and fans abroad bitching at each other. It's like, I've got bigger than you and blah, blah, blah. The reason we have a loyalty scheme is because loyalty counts. But, like someone said, will we have a ballot in the end? Will they get rid of loyalty points and we end up with ballots? Because it seems to me as though a lot of clubs now do ballots. United used to do ballots, but only for away games. They're now brought in for home games. Arsenal do ballots. Newcastle are now doing a ballot.
Just impulse thought. If they start doing the ballot, I think you'll see a big drop in OSC members.
Well, this is why I wanted to get you and Carl on. You run the supporters branch.
Co-run.
Co-run. But, to start doing a ballot. And here's the thing. People in Australia or America, they've got book flights, time off work, book an hotel. When are these ballots happening? Month and a half before? Some jobs got to give a month's notice for holidays. You think they're going to do a ballot a month beforehand, Pat? Probably not.
Nope.
So how do fans abroad get there then? This is what I'm saying. This is not just a bigger problem for locals. This is a problem in football. Pat, you can't say to your boss, for example, I need time off work. Well, when? Don't know. Because I don't know if I've won it yet. You're going on a wing and a prayer. And I don't mean that in any kind of, because of your job. But you're literally on a wing and a prayer.
Safest airline in the world, mate. Nobody has to pray when they get on board our aircraft.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like that day I saw that couple come in, see Haaland score and then piss off. That Inter Miami game when Messi played for 75 minutes, gets subbed off. I'm not kidding you. 3/4 of the ground emptied. What?
Someone did a time lapse video on that, and it was unbelievable. I watched it.
And do you know what gets me? I was managing conversation. I spoke to a load of fans like, Nico and Shake. Them on Twitter. The MLS have some very rich owners. The MLS could be a banging league. Do you know why they can't do it?
Salary
They
cap.
have got wage. They have got wage caps. They have got spending caps. That's why. So maybe that's the answer. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's the same thing in the A-League, mate. That's the reason why they have salary caps as well too, because they don't want football to overtake the rugby codes and AFL.
These half and half scarves need burning. Half and half scarves need burning. It's all right as a memento, probably for a Champions League final. But listen, do you know what did it for me for half and half scarves? When I saw people buying them at a derby. I was like, no, you don't do that. Thank you, Letter. Thank you so much. By the way, there's nearly 100 on. We did have loads on earlier, but obviously, please smash that. Give it a thumbs up. That really does help the channel. If you are new and you've enjoyed it, smash that subscribe button as well. Trying to get to 3,000 this season as quick as we can. Channel membership is available. I've had a thought on channel membership. We're going to do a monthly prize giveaway to members because we're not going to do videos. We swore we weren't going to do it, but we're going to do a prize giveaway each month. So if you are a member for 99p, that's all you have to do. You will be entered into a random draw. They're not going to be signed shirts like the last one. I'm talking like monthly prizes. I'll see what I can do. Old
Martin,
programs.
I could send over a couple of our Sydney Blue scarves.
There you go. Sydney Blue scarves, whatever. We'll sort you out. Scarf, football, whatever. And we'll get that. I was in a tone club. It was great, but I was only singing. There you go. Thank you all. Sorry again. I just listen. This debate will go on for years and years and years. That's what it is. Manchester Blue, we will expend our citizens. The club won't release many season tickets. They would rather sell tickets individually for top dollar to tourists who will spend money in the club shop. Yeah, I get it. I just paid the best part of 80 quid for Edison top for my grandson. He's 8. Exactly. That's the problem. And it isn't just, this is what I mean, Manchester Blue. It's not just global fans. Local fans are being ripped off as well. Everyone's getting ripped off in different ways of doing it. Ticket points are instead of ballots. Well, yeah, of course they are. You got your loyalty points. Because that's why when City release tickets, Ethan, they're all on loyalty points, counting down. Usually start at like 20,000, 25,000, and then work the way down. That might stop one day. Does it feel like we've done it? We are undisputed. Can we drive to do it again? Is the hunger there? We're going to talk that tomorrow, Tom. We're going to start our pre-season tomorrow. It's about with my local friends, always Belial and City. No, this is about global support now. There is money in it. But why is it just about global support, these issues? Why is it only about global support? That's the thing. That's what drives the wedge. Why is it only about global support? Because that's what we're saying. Not all locals will be loyal. There's got to be a happy medium somewhere. Because locals are not saying that they're not accepting global fans. What local fans are saying is they feel pushed out for fans abroad. And fans abroad are saying that the local fans are gatekeeping. So there's all sorts going on. It's like, bloody hell. Do I care about how much we spend? Do I care about every trouble? I do. I'm told because of exceptions how the media hate us. I mean expectation. Yeah, expectation is always going to drive people crazy. Right, you're right. Ballot Ham's local times. Exactly. Ham's both. If they switch to a ballot scale, nobody be able to think I couldn't plan my holiday. Exactly. Ballot scheme doesn't help anybody. Just done that one. No worries, Andrew. Take care, mate. Thank you, by the way, for I've got that DM. I'm going to look into it. Thank you. How did a club with Inter Miami pay Messi and Busquets wages? Pat, that's a good question.
Well, from what I read about Messi's contract, is most of his money is actually coming from MLS itself, sponsors, and I believe he even gets a huge payout from Adidas because I think he gets a percentage of all MLS shirt sales, not just Inter Miami, but all MLS shirts.
Thank you, John. Yeah, we wanted to do something different. It's actually
really good. It's actually really good, really good business from Messi. And in fact, over the long term, he's actually meant to make a hell of a lot more money from the MLS than he would if he went to Saudi.
What's Alan put here? You have to join and pay membership. Say yeah, and no one said you didn't, Alan. But with that, you can buy a ticket, Alan, and choose your seat.
Yep.
In Newcastle, you pay 37 quid and you just go in a ballot. That isn't done at City, Alan. If you become a member and pay you 35 quid, you can get a seat if there's one available. You don't have to be in a ballot. So when you pay your 35 quid, you're paying for a ticket virtually to get it. Alan, you've not really listened to what I've said there. Well, I mean, don't listen very well. I think it's his old age. It's his old age, you know. Yes, Alan, yes, it's ridiculous. City Plus wanting extra singing. Now, that I don't agree with. cancel my City Plus. $4.99. I know it's only small, but no, don't think so. It was 99p and then went to $1.99. It's getting expensive, yeah. You know what? I'm actually going to go and buy the new shirt on Friday. This is key. It is, and it's something we just wanted to discuss. But do you know what I like about this? This is not a discussion that will ever end. Because I do think one day it'll happen. But I think we're years and years away from it yet. I think we're about 10 years away from it. So we'll see. But I just think this is nothing against Saudi League, nothing against local fans, nothing against global fans. This is where all fans have to come together. Because fans matter in football. It's the oldest game in the world. And we all love the trophies, we all love the superstars, but we don't think about the consequences until the wolves are already at the door. So this debate will never end because while City are successful, it will always happen. But I just think it's a long time off. I mean, they've even changed the shirt. Like, you can get a commemorative shirt in a box and pay 3 times the money because it's in a box. No, I want to wear it, thanks. Stick it in my drawer to get covered in dust. Anyway, yeah, tomorrow night we're going to talk. What we're doing, Pat? Remind me. Tomorrow night.
Season preview, predictions, any further transfer business post Gvardiol.
Yeah, we're going to talk Gvardiol in detail, season predictions, Champions League, Community Shield preview. Gabriel Jesus is out. We're going to talk. We'll go into the Calvin Phillips stuff a bit more. I do think that's really intriguing. God knows where we go for that. Yeah. I don't know where we go. But we'll talk about Laporte, talk about Kyle Walker. That's gone quiet. But I think Kyle Walker will be gone. I think Laporte will be gone. And I don't think Gvardiol will be our last signing.
No. You can probably add Cancelo to the outbounds as well, too.
Oh, yeah. Cancelo will probably be at Barcelona.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah, bye-bye. Because I'll tell you what, I don't know if you noticed that his body language was crap against Atletico Madrid. Couldn't give a monkeys, didn't really care.
Yep.
Nothing. Anyway, Pat, thank you for joining us, mate.
No problem at all, Martin. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, again, big thank you for all your hard work while you were out. It was amazing.
Thanks, man.
Old Posy gets well soon. Probably be back tomorrow. Rich will be back tomorrow. We're going to be live at 9:30. There will be a JOSKO Gvardiol video in the morning. Probably come out about 6 a.m. Just talk about JOSKO Gvardiol. It's only going to be about 10-15 minutes. And then we'll go live again tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. live on the channel. If you've enjoyed it, please smash that like button. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. Share it around every single person you can. I hope you've really enjoyed it. We have gone up a few subscribers already. We're nearly at, we're well over 500 views already, which is amazing. Please get this around. Yeah, literally been off a plane. 2 hours later, we're live. That's where we go. We are back. And tomorrow night, you were all asking earlier on, there will be a brand new layout. Brand new intro. Pat's had a sneak peek. Brand new outro. Brand new backgrounds. Brand new headers. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek to one of them right now. This is one of them. That's just a little sneak peek to what some of the backgrounds and that will look like. There you go. No, Carson is not on it, mate. What is your thing with bloody Carson? Get over it. Carson is not playing football this year, Ethan. You need to get over it, mate. Oh, yeah, and we'll talk Peroni as well because I got told he's the next big thing. Nope, going to Girona. Wait and see. I'm going to die in a hill on that one. But we'll see. Anyway, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow night, live, 9:30. But don't forget, JOSKO Gvardiol video will be out about 6 a.m. in the morning. Take care, all, and we'll see you. Well, see you live tomorrow at 9:30.
Bye, everyone.
Stars. We're back. Buckle in. It's going to be a long season. Come on. Take care.